World Championship for professional drone racing teams, and it's race day 18, the last race day of our regular season before the live Split 2 finals from Abu Dhabi this weekend. We have two matchups for you today to help determine who goes to the finals. Matteo, Vincent Mines, IQ0 and Yuki are representing Raiden Racing, who won the Split 1 finals earlier this year. They really need a win over their rivals Quad Force 1 from America, AK Drones, Propsicle, Hyper and QT FPV. Our second matchup features Cyclone Racing, who are currently second on our leaderboard. They've got the Ice Cheetah, Fluorescent, J-Box and Zion FPV, who've been performing well all season. And they're up against STT Perpetuum Coin, the Spanish drone team, who've got the brilliant Silvio, Danube, Sea Sky and Blessed. And they're in a really important battle here too. It's only the top 6 teams who go to our live finals. Raiden Racing really need that win so they can try and get into 4th place. STT would love to hang on to that. The matchups will come across 3 races, a 2v2 and then another 2v2, and then the DCL Big Heat, where all 4 pilots from each team will battle. You get 4 points for a win in any of those races, 3 for second, 2 for third, 1 point if you come in 4th, so there are 10 available in the Big Heats. And after the 3 races are run, the winning team gets 3 points towards the season, 1 for a draw. Nobody wants 0 points. So the top 6 teams will go to Abu Dhabi for the live Split 2 finals this weekend, and the teams in 1st to 4th place will go into the main round to be seeded accordingly. They basically have 2 lives. The teams in 5th and 6th, they're in the elimination zone. They only have 1 life. Lose any matchup in the elimination zone and you are out of the finals. Who's going to be the Split 2 champion? We'll find out this weekend. The track we'll race for race day 18 is around Lake Zurich on the borders of Rapperswil Castle in Switzerland. And after a little bit of turning over the land, we go into a triple corkscrew here. Watch out to see if pilots overshoot it like those angles there. A little bit of a split edge to come round and come back through the DCL gate, through 2 more before you head to the land, where you go up and then down through those gates hanging on the buildings, up through this inclined one and then down the central avenue here. This straight down the middle has 7 arches and then an 8th on the side of Rapperswil Castle. Duck under that hurdle, and after you've gone over the roofs, there's a gate here that you take as tightly as you dare. Then it's 3 more Foxeer gates and a couple of turns. Watch out for the trees and we'll do it 4 times. So let's go racing. Raiden Racing against Quad Force 1, the final race day of Split 2 for 2023. Vincent Mines and IQ0 against Propsicle and QT FPV. The reigning world champions and the Split 1 champions. That's Raiden Racing from Japan flying in yellow. Quad Force 1 are the American team flying in blue. Propsicle and Vincent Mines are 2 of the real stars of the DCL. And they are, as we expect to see whenever they race each other, leading their way here. Propsicle ahead of Vincent Mines, then is QT FPV, and then IQ0 just a little bit behind in 4th. And there's our first look down towards Harbourside. Through the 3 Foxeer gates, no problem, and Mines is chasing Propsicle with a 1/4 of a second between them as they start into lap number 2. Through Asensio and down to the Torval corkscrew. All good there, and Mines maybe just a little bit tighter than Propsicle, and Propsicle a little bit of variation in his height. Mines perhaps a little bit smoother. Propsicle still flying fantastically well, and when we've seen him race around this particular track at our Lake Zurich environment, Propsicle has been almost flawless around it, but Vincent Mines has pulled off some of the best overtaking we've ever seen and must never ever be counted out until your drone is in a finish gate. This is the chase at the back between QT and IQ0 for 4th and 3rd. Now we go back to the front. Propsicle still ahead of Vincent Mines on lap number 3. 15 hundredths of a second between them though. Not very much at all. Mines is closer than he was at this point a lap ago. Through the 2 gates, hanging on the side of the building, no problem. And now towards that central straight, we'll see Mines going through on a little bit of an angle already. Now he'll turn, duck under the hurdle, and he's cornering well here. There's a little bit of room to spare, and he drops down to Harbourside, and he's lost a 10th on Propsicle overall, as they'll now come round to start their final lap. It's almost a 1/4 of a second between them again, as it was many laps ago. But to the corkscrew, and this is where Mines was better last time. Comes out okay, but not closer to Propsicle than he was. The turn here on DCL is very nice, but Propsicle's sewn it up as well. And Mayans, in his trademark pose of leading in and never blinking, is now pursuing Propsicle down the centre straight with almost 0.4 of a second between them. Under the hurdle, around this column. Never count Mayans out, but he's almost out of time to do anything about this. He goes a little bit wide to make that corner a bit quicker, a little bit straighter between the trees.
Trick, yeah.
Propsicle's got him at the finish, and QT is desperate for third, but will settle for fourth.
Oh, okay, all good. Nice try, Cutie.
Dang.
Alright, great race, guys.
The first battle between these amazing competitors has Propsicle taking the win for Quad Force 1. He was in the lead from the very beginning, and as I said, he's really got Lake Zurich so beautifully sewn up in his mind. He can just do this so cleanly. And QT was up into third, but lost it down to fourth place from that overtake. The brilliant move by IQ0, which he held on to and stayed in that position all the way to the end, making it a 5 points all race. Let's see Matteo and Yuki against Hyper and AK Drones. Can they split the tie? Away they fly and back down over the water to their first time through the corkscrew. And that's when it can be quite difficult because you've got so many drones in and out of your vision as they're all looping around, but everybody's still in it. 3/4 of a second between all 4 drones as we go up and down through the buildings. And Yuki trying to get on the inside of Hyper there and just gets 0.02 of a second ahead of him as they go down the central straight. Now Hyper and Yuki around over Rapperswil Castle. Very close between them, very close between AK Drones and Matteo as well. But let's see Yuki in second as he chases Hyper. 1 lap down, Hyper across the line first. Yuki turns better over the land here, comes out through Asensio just ahead of Hyper. Now into the corkscrew, just about as tight as you can make it. Almost looked like he was scraping it around, and Yuki is flying so tightly and dangerously on these gates. And yet, Hyper, for Quad Force 1, is 0.4 of a second ahead of him and out in the lead. Amazing when you see Yuki flying this aggressively, and then you realise Hyper, no, still there, and if anything, it pulled away slightly. Sometimes flying really smoothly is the way it's done. Some pilots like it like that, some pilots like to attack everything. Well, it's 0.4 of a second at the halfway stage, and Yuki chasing Hyper to this Torval corkscrew. Matteo still in third, half a second ahead of AK Drones, who's at the back. Currently, it's another 5 points all situation. Definitely not what Raiden wanted from this matchup. They need the win, but they also need to get it by quite a convincing margin to have a chance of getting fourth in our leaderboard. Right now, Yuki doing everything they can, going around the trees a little bit differently, as did Hyper. And is so close now at the front as we go on to the final lap. It's just 0.06 of a second between Yuki and our leader Hyper as they complete the land and now come down to the corkscrew. Yuki flying it so tightly again, and yet he comes out 1/10 of a second further behind Hyper, and after the 2 DCL gates there, Hyper is surely away for good. Oh no, he's not having too clean a run of it himself. A little bit of a twitch there going into the arches. He's hit that, he's gone into the trees. I don't know how he's crashed that badly from a route where you've got such clean visibility to the entry. Instead, Hyper is in third, and Matteo has got past him as well as Yuki. And this is the end of the race now. What a disaster for Hyper and Quad Force 1 as it's a 1-2 for the Japanese team.
Yes. Woo!
Great race.
Woo!
Let's go.
Oh, okay. All good, let's just go nuclear in this last one. If we get 3 people in the top 4, we'll win.
Yuki was so close throughout. He must have thought he had a chance until his crashes on the final lap. But he got the chance back again there, and the second DCL gate is what put him into Lake Zurich, but he recovered quickly. Hyper is all right there, but as he comes down, hits this gate, he staggers from that point. He's not quite on the line he wants to be. He doesn't get over left enough here, so he hits that and goes into the tree. He fought again at the end of the race, but just turned too soon and hit the pylon instead of just cutting around it. He might have caught Matteo, but Yuki was already ahead, and he took that to the win. So DCL's big heat time with all 8 pilots in the air. Quad Force 1 could still turn this into a win against Raiden Racing. But Raiden Racing would love to get a much bigger win over Quad Force 1 than the 12-8 position they're in. Matteo's bounced off the first of the corkscrew gates and gone straight on from that point and straight to the back of things. Everybody else still in contention as they weaved their way from the water to the land. Propsicle out in front here, got a little bit close to one of the archers himself. Then it's Mayans in second, and then Hyper's in third, and Yuki not too far behind him. Propsicle over the castle, too tight! Far too narrow a route there, trying to save all the time you can, and we've seen some dangerous angles on that gate in previous events. Oh, Propsicle hits that, is down in seventh, the last of the pilots for Quad Force 1. Mines is our leader and Hyper is his challenger. 500ths of a second between the two of them, and Hyper had problems at this stage on the last lap of the last race, so he can't let that shake his nerve here. He's going to have to give this everything he can in order to catch up with Mines. No problems down the tunnel, but almost half a second between him and the leader for Raiden Racing over the castle, and this is where Propsicle crashed. That's brilliant, the tight and confident flying by Hyper, and he needs to do everything like that because Mines is still doing it out in front. We're halfway through the big heat. Still, best part of 0.4 of a second between Mines and Hyper, and then two more Raiden drones behind him, Yuki and IQ0, and then it is everybody else from Quad Force 1 out of the top 4 scoring positions. Mayans leads around, Hyper pursues him into the tunnel again. There's his view as we go to Rapperswil Castle, and into Rapperswil Castle and into the flagpole, and Hyper losing places, but who's managed to catch him and get past him? Yes, it's Propsicle from all the way at the back. He's now in scoring position. Third place, the leader for Quad Force 1 just fought past all his own teammates. He's so quick, he can't do it all by himself, as I've said so many times for this team. He's in third, pursuing Yuki, but it's 7/10 between him and Yuki, and Mayans a further 6 or 7/10 ahead of them. We're in this last lap now. Propsicle needs a little bit of a miracle to catch these two pilots. Can he manage to get second from Yuki? He's not any closer than he was, but he's going to make this challenge right now. Oh, it's so good, and into the Foxeer gates, and he's done everything he can, but it is Mayans and Yuki in 1 and 2.
Yes. Great. Great.
Yes.
1, 2.
Propsicle fought so hard in the points, out of them, getting some at the end, but Raiden's Vincent Mayans got the win in front of him. Now watch as Propsicle comes down and crashes. He does get through the gate, but he does the professional thing of going back to make sure. Hyper catches the castle just on that edge, and he tries to slip between the flagpole and the hurdle and gets caught there as well. Yuki's past him, that's IQ0 and Propsicle coming for him. He goes from second down to fifth, and it all comes undone afterwards. So great racing from him, fantastic competitor, but Raiden beat out Quad Force 1. That's the first step done on the final race day. They had to win, and they needed to do so by a big margin. It's 20 points to 10 over Quad Force 1. Now they've got to wait and see what happens with Cyclone Racing and STT Perpetuum Coin. The Ice Cheetah and Zion will be in purple, Silvio and Blessed will be in green for Spain Drone Team. So quite simply, STT Perpetuum Coin have to win here, have to beat Cyclone Racing, or they're going to be in the elimination zone because Raiden will have passed them and taken 4th place on the leaderboard. Let's see how these 3 races unfold. We're on board with Silvio, chasing our leader Zion FPV into the tunnel with 1/10 of a second between them. The Ice Cheetah a couple of tenths behind. Blessed, who's been a little bit slower than other STT pilots at times this season, but he hasn't been racing for as many years. He's currently down in 4th. Silvio very close then to Zion FPV, and Silvio more than capable of winning this race. I would feel like there's more pressure on Zion than Silvio, as Silvio's been so good for the STT for quite a few seasons now. And weaves alongside, only a few hundredths of a second between these two pilots. Coming back up to the central straight now, and Silvio just tries to get into there first, and does. Zion sees him in front of him, tries to underturn him around the castle. Will try and make it tight over the Foxeer rooftops, and drops tightly down to Harbour side. Maybe he thinks he's got the lead here and there, but then Silvio just slips across him again. Silvio taking some wider routes here, taking some bigger turns, but carrying a lot of speed through them, and that's suiting his style of flying. Zion tightly on the corkscrew. Silvio's still there in front of him, about 0.2 of a second there. Now 3, and they come back towards the land, up and down through these 2 gates, and then swinging around the far side of Rapperswil and coming down to Central Straight on lap number 3. Zion to climb up early, a little bit of correction there, a little left, right, left. Now that's a good turn over Rapperswil Castle, down through the Foxeer Tunnel. The gap isn't any smaller, but crucially not any bigger either, as they're onto their final lap now, and Zion will see Silvio again, taking that wider route and then coming across him into the corkscrews. Silvio moves through them a little more angular. Comes out a bit further over on the left-hand side. Stays in front of Zion. The Ice Cheetah stays in front of Blessed in third and fourth, but it's quite close between those two as well. Zion now to the tunnels. Just sees Silvio disappear from his view and then swing in again. Over Rapperswil Castle. Under the hurdle and around the Foxear turn. Dropping down, we're seeing Blessed moving up on the Ice Cheetah. Zion is doing his best to catch Silvio, but Silvio is going to lead it to a win. That is Zion, and Blessed will take third.
Vamos.
Bien, qué bien.
Vamos.
Qué bien, joder. Qué bien.
Buena.
Qué bien, chaval.
I'm
That was
sorry.
close.
Sorry.
No,
Hey,
no,
don't
it's
worry
okay,
about
it's
it. Don't
okay.
worry about it. Dude, I was putting the pressure on Silvio. Holy.
Silvio was indeed under a lot of pressure, but he still gave his team the win. He went from second to first in the corkscrew. I said he was more angular. He flies across them from right to left, whilst rotating in and out as well. The Ice Cheetah just got caught on that gate that so many pilots have. That's what cost him fourth place. It was less than 0.2 of a second between Silvio and Zion, and less than 2 between Blessed and the Ice Cheetah. Next up, Fluorescent and J-Box will take on Danube and Sea Sky. Can the SDT team get more points out in front? It's 6-4 in their favour at the moment. Fluorescent here, over, and into the Ascensio gate. Oh, that's a terrible start for him. Everyone else exit the Torvald corkscrew together. Back and through DCL's 1 and 2 gates. There's the third, and then coming to the 2, hanging on the building, and this is J-Box, who's just got past Danube. And only a few thousandths of a second between him and Sea Sky, who comes underneath for the lead. And now will duck under the hurdle, and J-Box tries to get past him here. And this is good flying, and he's going to take the angle, and it's got him! Oh, so many pilots have fallen at that stage. J-Box now a second behind the 2 pilots for SDT. Oh, this could be a clean 1-2 for SDT, as Danube and Sea Sky are not easy to catch, but J-Box is an incredibly quick pilot on his day for Cyclone Racing. So can he do anything about it with 2 laps to go? Fluorescent a little bit too far behind. J-Box a bit closer than he was. He's gained a 10th, he's gained another one, and now through the tunnel a little bit of correction around the castle. That's just given a 10th back to SDT, and it's a little bit shaky and a little bit reckless, but he's managing to keep it flying out through the trees onto the third lap. Still SDT in 1 and 2, but it's Danube in front of Sea Sky now. They've switched positions and into the corkscrew. There goes J-Box. Not quite as angular as Silvio's route in the last race, but still pretty good. Now keep an eye on the 2 green pilots as they take different routes around this area of the course, swinging around on different paths, and J-Box trying to catch. It's only 0.004 of a second between him and Danube as they come down the central line, just trying to nudge into second place. And J-Box moves up, tries to go underneath Danube, cuts through towards the land and is in second solidly now. J-Box pursuing Sea Sky. Can he get him? 0.3 of a second is the gap he's got to catch up. They'll go for the corkscrew now. J-Box trying to turn a little bit earlier. Almost overshoots the second one as he travels along on that lateral route that we saw Silvio do. It flew well, and yet he's been caught by Danube. 2 green drones in front of him like it was a lap ago. Sea Sky caught, passed by J-Box again, just like it was another lap ago. J-Box now for Rapperswil Castle. The last chance is here. Can he go from third to second and then move it up and get a win for Cyclone? They really need it. He's going to try and move on the pylon turn. He's swung out to try and cut it. He's got Danube underneath and in front of him.
No.
It's okay.
GG's, that was close.
God,
Hey, we still have them in the final.
Vale.
Buena.
Buena, Danube.
Buena.
Oh, another time when a pilot thinks they've got the lead, only for a green drone to swing in from a different side and just beat them for it. Crescent was never off to a comfortable start, already making some adjustments before he hit Ascensio, and then having trouble at later places as well. Never got to feature in that race. There's that gate, catching out another pilot. This time it's J-Box back on lap number 1. Danube, surprisingly, gets caught there on the way down, but falls through it and flies on like it never happened. Look how close they are on the last lap down the tunnel. And J-Box did fight up to the lead by 1,000th of a second on the final turn, but not at the end. Wow, so close. Can the DCL Big Heat be that close with 8 pilots in the air? Well, it's a 12-8 situation for SDT. Much like Raiden found themselves in earlier. Everybody into the corkscrew at the same time. J-Box bumps on the middle, bumps on the last stage. It's all over the place and has lost 2 seconds. That's a terrible start for J-Box. Danube, Sea Sky. Silvio swapping places with the Ice Cheetah around 3rd and 4th in the last of the scoring positions. There's the Ice Cheetah's view. 3 big green drones out in front of him, and Blessed very close to him again. He was caught by Blessed on race number 1, remember. Right at the end, went from 3rd down into 4th. Now chasing Danube and Silvio as he's got past Sea Sky. Corkscrew nearly overshot the second one. We've seen that from a couple of the Cyclone pilots. They try and fly it angularly, try to travel through it from right to left as well as looping around. I think he overdid the first part of it and had to recover and make it through, and that might have slowed his exit on the second part. Nevertheless, he's got past Danube, but only just a few hundredths of a second between the two. Silvio, Danube back in front of the Ice Cheetah, down to the harbour side. And the Ice Cheetah's giving it everything he can, rocking and rolling a bit to make it through all the gates. But he's carrying on in second place. A few more hundredths of a second has fallen between him and Danube. But Silvio not caught just yet, 6/10 ahead of him. Turns tighter than Silvio and has hit that DCL gate, kept it out of the lake, but been passed. Oh, that was tight work from the Ice Cheetah. He was doing the right thing to try and catch Silvio. Instead, it's cost him. He's back into 4th place, and there's Blessed in front of him as they go down the tunnel. This is where he overtook Blessed on the last lap. Starts to move around him again here. Coming down to the harbour side. Blessed is still there, but he'll get him on that turn, perhaps. Yes, he has. Now he's got Danube in front again. And Silvio, where are the rest of Cyclone? Over 4 seconds behind the leader. The Ice Cheetah in a real fight for all the points he can get. This is where he crashed on the last lap. Oh, he's hit it again. He's sat inside it. He's in 5th. He's no longer in a scoring position. He's behind Zion. It has all come undone for him. Are STT going to get a rarely seen clean sweep? We don't often see it from one team against another. Cyclone Racing second in our season. This is not how they expected the regular season to end. They're going to get demolished by STT.
¡Vamos!
¡Vamos, joder!
¡Qué grandes, tío!
Let's go, John!
¡Vamos!
GG's. Yeah, that was their best race yet.
Silvio leads his team to a big win over Cyclone Racing at a really important time. The corkscrew was a problem for a number of the Cyclone pilots. Zion got stuck on the top of it there and then too low on the third as a result. We already saw J-Box struggling with it after hitting the second one as well. Another problem was the little split S-turn we had out over the water. We go over the top of this DCL gate and come back through it. Fresson catching the top of it and getting a little bit slowed down by that. The Ice Cheetah hit it on laps 3 and 4. Too low on the third one. And then the fourth one when he was back in contention. And that really held him up as well. 1, 2, 3 and 4. STT take maximum points in the big heat and beat out Cyclone Racing by a huge score of 22 points to 8. Not the finish of the regular season that Cyclone wanted, but STT couldn't be happier. The other two teams featuring in the top 6 battle for the live Split 2 finals are China Dragons and XBlades. And with a 21-9 win, XBlades unbelievably got 18 wins out of 18 races. Everybody stays in the same positions they were in, which means we now know our top 6 teams for the live Split 2 finals. Congratulations to them. And the first teams in the elimination zone, it will be Raiden Racing against Quad Force 1 again. Can Raiden fight from there to win the Split 2 title? Or can XBlades complete their incredible undefeated season? Join us this weekend for the live Split 2 finals from Abu Dhabi.